The divide has been there since the first day of Pokemon. Some attacking moves are physical, and some are special. Now, Game Freak has never been particularly renowned for their balancing practices. In fact, to say it's been quite the opposite doesn't quite capture the lopsided nature of playing in metagames that feel askew. Sometimes, this concept is hilariously blatant. See, for example, Generation 1 Psychic types, who could not have been designed with any resemblance of competitive balance in mind. However, more often than not, this distinction is more subtle, as it's very much the case in the subjects today's video explores. Which has the better tools, physical or special attackers? Now, if you guys do enjoy this video, make sure you let me know by leaving a like, and also if you're new to the channel, subscribe. One way to 300k, that's my end of the year goal, and you guys can help me get there. Obviously, the many layered factors relevant to this question render the answer complicated, to say the least. There's perhaps no single correct answer, at least not one that is simple. And one certainly would not be wrong if they were simply to say it depends, especially in a game with as many generations and metagames as Pokemon. However, though the answer may not be perfect, the pursuit to find the answer may reveal certain valuable informations and truths, and that may be more valuable than the answer itself. So we set off on our path to at least attempt to discover which side of the attacking spectrum Game Freak has been kinder in blessing. Every journey has a starting point, and ours is this basic assumption. On average, powerful special attackers are more difficult to stop. This is because they generally have greater access to a variety of attacking types which possess both super effective coverage and often have higher base power. This makes them more difficult to wall or play around with commonly slotted Pokemon. Sure, they have a blanket catch-all in Chansey or Blissey, but those are specialized Pokemon that don't slot in on every team. Especially if you're a YouTuber, just try and use stall in a video and see the comments. On the flip side, Lanner's Therian is very easy to slap on a team since even in its defensive forms, it is not slow or passive, and simply by having a Lando T or a number of other bulky ground types throughout history, you have a great blanket check to most physical attackers. Furthermore, special attackers are generally faster than physical attackers, which allows them more opportunities to fire off their attacks. This is especially useful in offense-on-offense slugfests, and to top it off, physical attackers usually have lower special defense, making them even more vulnerable to special attacks and attackers. At this point in the video, we must stress that these are generalizations, which are necessary to at least begin a discussion on this complex subject. Yes, Weavile is a physical attacker that is also one of the fastest Pokemon in the game. No, this does not disprove the general idea, because Weavile is an exception. In fact, part of what makes it such a fierce threat is that it bypasses traditional methods of handling physical attackers. This is present not just in its enormous speed, but also in its Ice Stab, which completely destroys Lanner's Therian. As such, Weavile poses a unique disruption in team building. You can run Lanner's T and be fine against most physical attackers, but you better have something to handle Weavile in particular, because you can't use Lando T against it. Anyway, another point significantly in favor of special attackers is that they are generally more difficult to punish for using their attacks. With the existence of Iron Barbs, Rough Skin, and Rocky Helmet, using even something as powerful as Choice Band Close Combat or Outrage can actually hurt its attackers. Keeping momentum with U-Turn is similarly risky. Though they are more rare, other abilities in this vein exist as well, Static and Flame Body. Nothing ruins Tornadus Therian's desire for risk-free U-Turns worse than Static Zapdos. To make matters even worse, Rocky Helmet is an item and thus can be paired with an ability specifically created to use against physical attackers, Intimidate. Thus, your attack is weakened and you take damage for using it. There is no special version of Intimidate. The closest you'll get is the Assault Vest, yet that not only takes up an item slot, but it stops the user from using anything besides offensive moves. There is also no special version of Rocky Helmet, unless you count the extremely metagame defining all-time best item, Roat Berry. No, it's incredibly obscure. Finally, there are no special equivalents of Static and Flame Body. Technically, these abilities in Rocky Helmet are not physical punishers, rather they punish moves that make contact, which a few special attacks do, most notably Grass Knot. However, in practice, contact punishing abilities and items are used against the majority of popular physical attackers and attacks. They're the whole reason the protective pad item exists after all, and the Pokemon that most commonly use pads are, you guessed it, some of the most dangerous physical attackers in the game. What about Pursuit as an anti-special option, you might wonder? Special attackers are certainly not without drawback. Most notably, they tend to have lower defense and several of them bear a crippling weakness to Dark. This is certainly the case in many instances. Most famously, its Pursuit weakness is one of Latios's few flaws. Indeed, it is often seen that against teams without Pursuit, Pokemon like it and Alakazam will repeatedly barrage and bludgeon the opposing team to the point of being impossible to withstand, precisely because they are far more difficult to punish for actually using their attacks. Yes, Draco Meteor causes -2 special attack, but without Pursuit, Latios would just switch out to a teammate that can handle whatever method you have of trying to take advantage of the free turn afforded to you, which it will have if its team is built well, and then it'll come back in later and bombard you some more. Additionally, yes, some non-Magic Guard special attackers hold Life Orb and thus take recoil for attacking, but this pales in comparison both in terms of popularity and in-battle effect to the bevy of physical move punishing methods sprinkled throughout the game. So it does often wind up being the case that Pursuit is the best way to prevent special attackers from bowling you over long term, given their aforementioned high speed blessing them with a large number of attacking opportunities that let them eventually overwhelm the opponent. However, even this has flaws. Pursuit, as opposed to the physical punishers, is a move and thus takes a turn to use. This makes it more difficult to position as opposed to the automatic nature of the abilities and Rocky Helmet, which take effect upon even being KO'd. Furthermore, most good special attackers do not come unequipped for common Pursuit users, usually Tyranitar, be it through coverage, raw power, extra entry hazard support, or teammates that exploit the weakening of the Pursuit user. The greatest example of Pursuit being key in staving off special attackers comes from this generation right now, Pokemon Sword and Shield Generation 8, which had Pursuit removed from the game, and saw an explosion of powerful Dark Weak yet Choice Specs users like Blacephalon and Dragapult as a result who spammed their stabs effectively without risk. Next, the special attacks themselves pack many advantages over their physical counterparts. Most notably, special attacks come with menacing secondary effects. Every Thunderbolt, Ice Beam, or Flamethrower, so long as they're not thudding into an immunity, has a chance to inflict a potentially debilitating status condition on the opponent, no matter how weak the hit. And let me tell you something, when you play competitive Pokemon, you just hold your breath whenever somebody uses Ice Beam on you and you're not an Ice type. Psychic, Earth Power, Bug Buzz, and even Focus Blast can drop the opponent's special defense, making them even more difficult to withstand. You didn't know that about Focus Blast because it usually misses. But there are such low 10% chances, nothing to rely on, true, but they are more potentially crippling even off weak hits, as opposed to something like Earthquake or Close Combat. Sure, there are the elemental Fangs and Punches, but they are far, far weaker than their special counterparts. What about physical attacks' higher rate capabilities? Crunch has a nice 20% defense drop rate. Well, that's nice, except Shadow Ball has the same odds, just with dropping special defense. However, where special attacks really take the crown is with the moves that have 30% odds. Yes, physical attacks famously have Iron Head's 30% flinch, however, flinch only works in a one-on-one. You can't flinch something switching in. Meanwhile, special attackers boast one of the most horrifying moves in the game, Scald. Run Surf instead on offensive Pokemon like Keldeo? Nah, the burn will do. Same deal with even offensive Heatran, which loves running Lava Plume as its fire stab. These are just the two most prominent examples too. Let's not get into the nightmare that is Hurricane Confusion, or the underrated yet similarly crippling Sludge Bomb Poison, or Discharge Paralysis. Special attackers also have the benefit of not having a status that outright weakens their attacks. Well, not counting Legend Arceus Frostbite anyway. If a physical attacker gets burnt, they're pretty much toast, barring Facade and Guts users of course, but their strength is precisely being able to subvert this common tactic used to thwart physical attackers. You can burn a Choice Band Kyurem Black and it'll help you survive its attacks, but barring Sleep, which doesn't always work thanks to Sleep Claws, and is just the same for physical attackers anyway, you can't do the same against Choice Specs Latios. Finally, special attackers even have the ultimate tool, special attack that hit physical defense, because they just didn't have enough tools to blast past special walls already. With Psyshock and Secret Sword, one could no longer use the pink blobs to safely, reliably answer against some of the scariest special attackers around. Sure, a Violite Chansey was better against Psyshock, but it certainly wasn't stopping Keldeo. The closest things to physical counterparts to these moves that exist, Photon Geyser and Shell Sidearm, aren't nearly as prominent. Now, though special attackers have had it better pretty much throughout all of Pokemon history, we will give the physical attackers one advantage to conclude this video, and it's a huge one. The checks and walls to physical attackers are more common by virtue of being easier to slap on teams. This is just very true. However, this is compensated for by physical walls being much less immovable in the face of sheer power than the end-all be-all special walls, Chansey and Blissey. Even the closest things to a physical blob that exists, Skarmory and Tangrowth, are prone to being overpowered. Chansey and Blissey, on the other hand, require Guile for special attackers to break past, because they are not doing so with brute force. This means that physical attackers cascading on top of each other have more destructive snowballing power. Of course, this video is not stating a hard fact. As immovable as Blissey is in the face of Draco Meteors, it is just making a case for an opinion based on a series of observations. If you disagree, please post a comment explaining why down below. I love to read them and I hope you guys enjoyed listening. Thank you everybody for watching this video. Once again, if you are new to the channel and you made it this far in the video, big props to you. This is 10 minutes of me talking, right? But subscribe if you're new to the channel and I'll see you guys in another video tomorrow. Peace.